When it comes to talking about one of the greatest franchises of all time, I believe that Metal Gear Solid is definitely a franchise that gets brought up. Now, what's so special about Metal Gear Solid? In my opinion, there's no other game like it. The storytelling, the characters, and even the music. But what separates Metal Gear Solid from every other franchise that's out there? And with that being said, I'm going to break this video down into three categories. First, I'm going to talk about the story, then the characters. Next, I'm going to talk about the level design and the music. So, with that being said, grab your popcorn, grab your Pepsi. Now, let's dive into this. So, Metal Gear Solid 1 story. And we're not talking about Twin Snakes. We're going to save that for another video. So, with the story, the Solid Snake is pulled out of retirement. He has to kind of sneak in or infiltrate Shadow Moses Island. And with that being said, he has to stop his arch nemesis, who goes by the name of Liquid Snake. You get it? So basically, even though I hate this comparison, your typical Mission Impossible spy movie. A lot of people like to compare Metal Gear to James Bond, which I think is far from the truth because in Metal Gear Solid 3, that you tried to turn Snake into James Bond. But we're talking about Metal Gear Solid 1. But with Solid Snake here and the story and how these characters get introduced, I think Metal Gear Solid storytelling can't be replicated. And here's why. With a lot of modern games and with their storytelling, even with Splinter Cell or other stealth games, Metal Gear Solid is very unique when it comes to how it presents its story to its audience. When I played the first time, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know who any of these people were. I only heard of Otacon and the Ghost Ninja, the person you see on screen right now. I lost my mind seeing how important he was to the story. But besides that, that's pretty much all there is to it. Snake sneaks in to the secret base, has to go through these obstacles and these other villains before he gets to Liquid Snake. And afterwards, you got two endings. The first ending, you escape with Otacon. The second ending, you escape with Meryl. So believe it or not, in the bad ending with Otacon, Meryl actually dies in that story. So you gotta survive the torture scene, which they bring back in Metal Gear Solid 3, and I think in Metal Gear Solid 2. But with that out the way, let's go ahead and talk about these characters. Even though Solid Snake isn't my favorite version of all of the other snakes, he definitely is the most popular and probably most recognizable version of all the snakes. And Solid Snake, he's a badass. Sorry for starting, but Snake, he's the only reason why I even grew my beard out. As soon as Snake was on screen, I was instantly connected with just how cool he is, especially with all the weapons they give you in this game. And besides that, my second favorite character is probably Revolver Ocelot. I only like this character because of Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 1, we don't know too much about him, other than he helps out Liquid Snake. And in Metal Gear Solid 4, you see his story conclude, but I'll get into that later. As with the other characters, you got the Colonel, who's actually played by Ben 10's grandfather. You got Meryl, you got everybody's favorite weeb, Otacon. Even though the funny thing about that, he literally only mentioned that line once. I just find that funny how so many people took that one line and just ran with it. And besides that, you got your boss battles, you got Rubber Ocelot, Psycho Mantis, Sniper Wolf, not the streamer, but the sniper in this game. Don't get him confused. And afterwards, you get Raven or Vulcan Raven. And we just gotta take a minute to talk about these boss fights. Each of these boss battles tests out your memory in all these levels. For instance, with Revolver Ocelot, you're not just shooting at him, you gotta hide and time your shots right. Same thing with Vulcan Raven, and with the Sniper Wolf boss fight, it sort of tests your patience with where she will be and seeing where she will shoot. And Psycho Mantis, that boss fight was crazy. I know when the original got to change controllers, but in the Switch remake, I think it's a bit more easier how you beat him. You can't really read your save files. And now the final boss, Liquid Snake, isn't too hard, but he really tests out your combat and your timing. So each boss fight on this game not only tests out your memory on level design, but also with combat and how you use your weapons. And our second Vulcan Raven fight, that can be a pain if you don't know what you're doing. But remember, it's all about patience and when you attack. Now, coming to the final category, the level design and the music, Metal Gear Solid, even though we spend more time inside the facility and we spend some time outside in the snow areas, this game, with its ambience and how the music, isn't really like the music in Twin Snakes or even some of the tracks in Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. Metal Gear Solid 1 soundtrack is more unique because it goes for a more ambient feeling rather than a spy movie like MGS2, MGS3, or even some tracks in MGS4 and 5. Now, are these my favorite soundtracks? Even though Twin Snakes is controversial, I do like the soundtracks in that game, especially with the boss battles. And MGS3 and 4, with its soundtracks, I think it gets better. Just know that Metal Gear Solid 1 soundtracks, they just hit different. And with my final verdict, this game needs a remake on the PlayStation 5, the Nintendo Switch 2, and the Xbox Series X. And with that being said, if you don't have this game, or it's been a while since you played it, I need all of you to go back and play it again. And when you do, just remember one thing: there will never be another game like Metal Gear Solid 1. But with that being said, I want to thank my subscribers, the Power Gang, for checking out this video. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.